Class is called Move and Rhythm, and today we'll explore 4 different rhythms and journal about the way that we experience those rhythms in our bodies. So we'll explore swaying and rocking, jumping and pushing, shaking, and then the last one will be stillness. And when we explore these different rhythms in our bodies, it gives us an opportunity to maybe open up our capacity to create just bigger movements, bigger gestures with our bodies, and note how they impact, our mental and emotional well-being. Oftentimes, when we give ourselves permission to move in different ways, it can lessen any feelings of self-consciousness that we might experience being in a body. And then the last thing is that when we can move with different rhythms, we're able to respond and show up to challenges in life. And so first thing we're going to do before we get into that is grab a piece of paper or a journal, and of course, something to write with. And I'm going to have you take that piece of paper and divide it into 4 quadrants. And each quadrant is going to represent a different rhythm. And so I've just set up my journal in that way. It's probably backwards to you, but I'm not sure if you can see that. So in one corner, I have swaying and rocking. And then I have pushing and jumping, shaking, and stillness. If you have to pause the video and go grab any materials that you need and fill this out, feel free to give yourself the time to do that. So what we'll do is we'll explore each of these rhythms, and then I'll provide some space to just gather some quick information about how that particular rhythm made you feel. And so this is something, once you have that information, if you wanted to go back and repeat one of the rhythms that we explore just on its own, or continuing a sequence of these rhythms as kind of one practice. But we'll do a rhythm, we'll journal about it, and then we'll move on to the next one. And we have about 6-ish minutes for each rhythm. So find some space where you feel like you can freely move. And we're going to start with this rocking and swaying. And know that any of these movements, rhythms that we do, you can do them seated in a chair if you prefer that. But I'm going to just shift back and come to stand. So as you come to stand, just feel a natural position with your body. So letting your knees kind of be soft. Let your focus, your eyes be relaxed. And so we'll begin with this pattern of rocking and swaying. And that might just be a shift from side to side, feeling the weight of your body move from one foot to the other. It might be one foot comes a little bit forward and you're sort of rocking forward and back. You might let your head kind of be relaxed and soft. Just taking the time to explore this first rhythm, swaying, rocking. Now that movement, it could be a little bit bigger, right? Maybe having a gesture through the arms or not. It could just be a small shift as you disperse your weight from side to side. You could even kind of move around a little bit, even as you rock and sway. If you want to close your eyes, feel free. Sometimes that can kind of just help you feel more deeply connected without feeling self-conscious in any way about the ways that you're moving. So just swaying, moving, really letting it be kind of fluid and flowy if you'd like. Maybe letting your shoulders get into the action. Good. And then just a few more seconds. And then letting that movement come to a close. You can grab your paper and pen. And in that square where you've labeled swaying and rocking, you can jot down just some of your first impressions about the way that that makes you feel. So some sentence starters maybe to jog your brain could be, rocking feels to me like swaying helps me feel, fill in the blank. When I rock or sway, I have a memory of, or I'm reminded of, or I notice blank when I am in this rhythm. And so I'll just give you about 1 more minute to jot down any initial impressions. Also, if drawing is your preferred method of expression, you could draw. And so just about 30 more seconds. And then finish up your thought or your drawing. And know that you can come back to this at another time. So the next rhythm we'll explore is jumping and pushing, but we're going to start with pushing first. And how do you find a wall or some solid surface that you can push all of your weight into? So I'm just going to have to turn my back to you when I show this, but Just kind of step with your feet apart, and then just so that you can get enough force through your legs, and then bring your hands to the wall and just start to see what it feels like to send the force of your body through your arms into something solid, right? Really feeling, right, that pushing action. You might focus on your breath or notice if any vocalization wants to come forward, any sounds you want to express here. Really letting your legs push down to support you. Good. And then you can release that and then just find your standing position again. So now we'll see what it feels like to send kind of weight and force down into the legs by jumping. So, just do the best you can with this. So let your knees bend and almost like you're going to come down into a squat. And then you're just going to push into your legs, jump, and then come back down. And we'll do that a few times. Right, really letting your legs push into the floor. Good. And then once more. All right, grab your paper and pen, pencil here. And in your second quadrant, take a moment to describe how you feel in your body now. Maybe distinguishing between what it felt like to push through your arms versus jumping and using your legs. Noticing what that sense of pushing feels like in your body. And I'll give you just about another minute or so. In about 20 seconds. Good. And then finishing up any thoughts you have about what you feel in your body after that. All right, we'll come back to standing, and the third rhythm we'll explore is shaking, which basically just letting your body shake, but we're going to do it kind of in pieces and parts. So just start by shaking your right hand. Just start there, give it a shake. And so one thing it's always nice, I find, is to do a comparison when working with some of these movements to see how they affect us. So stop the shaking and just kind of hold your hands up in front of you and notice what you feel in your right hand versus your left hand. Yeah, so there is an experience, there's something that's felt, a felt sense that perhaps you can describe. And now we're going to do that throughout the entire body. But just let's start with the hands and the arms. Just shaking, right? You might even put some music on. That's always helpful. So just start by shaking your hands and your arms. Good, and then you can kind of balance on one leg and shake your right leg, maybe just doing the leg, not the arms. And just letting it go. Shift sides, do the other leg. Good, so then you can continue to just kind of wiggle and shake. Now, another option, you could even come down onto your back, lift your legs, your arms in the air and shake like so. Or you can stand up and do this, or you could do it seated in a chair. Let your shoulders go, your hips move. Maybe even like combining jumping and shaking. Maybe moving your arms around the space around your body. Let your head go if that feels okay. Good, just a little bit longer. All right. And then finally, just let that subside. Maybe take a couple breaths just to regulate your heart beating. And then when you're ready, you can come to that third quadrant and draw or write how that makes you feel. And maybe noticing anything that comes up for you. I mean, metaphorically, we're like shaking things up, we're stirring things up. Maybe notice if there's a particular energy that's attached to that sensation, an emotion. Give yourself about 1 more minute. In about 15 more seconds. So then finish up anything you are working on. And then we'll explore the last rhythm, which is stillness. So this one, you could just sit comfortably, maybe with your back against the wall. You could sit in a chair, or you could lie down on your back. And so bringing yourself into stillness now, let your breath flow just a little more consciously. You might even place your hands on your body, maybe one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. Now that you've had an opportunity to experience all these different rhythms, we come to the final one, which is stillness. Allow your heart rate to become slower. Let yourself practice that quiet, still presence. Eyes can be closed or just softly focusing them on a point in front of you. Inviting the weight of your body to merge with the ground. And at the same time, welcoming that support of the ground. You can stay here for one more minute. And then as you're ready, you can find your paper and pen. And then in that last quadrant for stillness, begin to write how it makes you feel. When I am consciously still, I am. In stillness, I can feel. Stillness helps me to. I'll give you about 30 more seconds to finish up your thoughts on stillness. And so bringing any writing or drawing that you've been doing to a close. And so know that at any time you can choose one of these rhythms, right? Depending on what you wrote and how it makes you feel. So you can replicate that feeling if that's what's needed, or you might just go through those in a sequence, one after the other. And right, that stillness is a nice way of just completing that cycle. And so I hope that you found something that was useful and helpful, that maybe you could even bring into your regular routine and practice. Thanks, everyone.